Adam Lefkoe is set to join us on loan from the NBA on TNT. He hosts NBA on TNT Tuesdays. TNT will present eight NBA games in 3 days, beginning with a triple header on Thursday night. Bucks Heat, Clippers Mavs, Lakers Rockets. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, and Lefkoe joins us now. We've been having a debate. McLovin has been so down on Luka Doncic.
Such a hater.
I know, and I don't understand this because I think we've almost taken for granted that Luka puts in a night of 34, 20, and 12, and it's not headline worthy. Is he a great player?
Oh, I look at how great players talk about young players as my barometer of greatness, because great players do not like to call young players great. They like to say that it's easier for them or the style of the game benefits them. He has Kristaps Porzingis, and then it's Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, who else is there to get these assists to? And I think Luka, the way he controls the pace of the game, his shot, his physicality, the growth he made from year one to year two, I think he's just a hater. I think there's jealousy of the base tan that Luka has gotten in Orlando because we know that there's a little bit of pastiness in the studio right now.
McLovin?
Well, first of all, Adam, like me, is a Philly guy, and we're born to be cynical and not trust these guys.
That's
and he's
true.
ready to jump all over this bandwagon. I mean,
if both these guys, if Zion and Luka were on the open market right now.
Luka.
Okay. To me,
I like shooters.
Yeah.
Like I would go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over Ja Morant. And I know that's crazy, but I like guys that are not getting hurt all the time. I like guys that have range because they're the guys whose career can last longer. Eventually that explosion. And look, Zion is going to be generational. Ja Morant is one of my favorite players to watch. But the guys that have range, the guys that understand pace, maybe it's because they're also in years 2 and 3 and they understand stop and start and change of direction. And I'm sure that can come because, man, I saw some plays from Zion at the end of the game the other day that were unbelievable. But Luka, to me, is a game that can last for a decade and a half. Zion, I still have concerns.
Would you take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over Zion?
No.
Okay.
Because Zion, I think in the NBA, it's like I look at Giannis and how he went, I think, pick 15, or Michael Porter Jr. going where he went. In the NBA, I want to take risks on the guys that can be franchise-changing players. And I think Zion has that ability. Luka has that. I don't know about Shai yet.
Should the Lakers, what's the approach for the Lakers now? You have the number 1 seed in the West, this game against Oklahoma City tonight. What would you do if you're Frank Vogel with your stars?
I think you need to keep them going because it's been very interesting to watch the impact of starting out of nowhere with these guys. Jamal Crawford's the perfect example. 6 minutes, hamstring. I heard Stan Van Gundy saying this before, where he actually thought that teams would rest players early and get them worked up till later, but there's no home court advantage, Dan.
Yeah.
So if you come in off rest and you lose one or two, it's not like we're going back to Staples Center and we're going to have that advantage. So for me, I would rather. I don't know if you do what the Bucks did yesterday, where you give Giannis 16 and they play 13 guys at 14 minutes or more. But I want LeBron's wheels to be turning. I want my main guys ready. And I also think you have to figure out your rotation. What is your 7? What is your 8?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I want LeBron playing maybe 25 minutes, Anthony Davis, because my point is they're going to face somebody in the opening round who had to crawl and scratch their way in. And if it's Portland or one of these other dangerous teams, they're already playing playoff basketball. I just want you as close to that as possible. And that's
now,
why
if he gets 25, Dan, and then let's say it's the fourth quarter and it's like, oh, we need LeBron, I wouldn't put him in there.
No.
You've locked up the one, let your reserves, let Caruso, let Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, let them get those valuable clutch time minutes because you never know when they're going to need it. But Zion for the Pelicans, he needs to come in for those last 3 minutes because we're trying to get a playoff seed.
That's what I didn't understand, that they would have had that win against Utah. If you're on a minutes limit or restriction, I want you playing valuable. Does it matter when you have those minutes? It does to me. If I can save you for the final 4 minutes of the game, even if the game's a blowout, I'm still going to have you in there if all we're doing is playing 15 minutes.
All 6 teams that are fighting for that 8 seed are now within 4 games, which was our metric to see who's going to play in the play-in game. And when that Pelicans game, that very first one, and Alvin Gentry came off and said, you need to understand statistics. I said, okay, Alvin, but you knew he had 15. So why didn't you save 3 of them for the end of the game? Why did you use them in the beginning of the 4th and not budge? Because now the Suns are 3-0. The Spurs are 2-1, and I'm never counting out Popovich in that playoff streak. Memphis, I know they lose Jaren Jackson, but who knows? And Portland is looking like a 5 seed right now. So I really hope that for the Pelicans' sake, we don't look back at that first game and go, you blew it. Because you might, if they get into a tiebreaker with Portland, people aren't realizing this right now. If you get into a tiebreaker for Portland for that 9 seed, they have the advantage over everybody because it comes down to win percentage, and they have played more games. So if it comes down to they will have played more games, their win percentage will be higher. They automatically win, and that could be big for New Orleans.
He's Adam Lefkoe, Turner's sports host. The
This is wild, Dan. I just want to say this. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm on the Dan Patrick Show right now in an Airbnb in Atlanta holding a microphone. And I just want you to know I feel goated right now. I feel blessed. There's a halo above my head of joy. Just wanted you to know that.
Well, I appreciate that. NBA on TNT Tuesdays. We're talking to the host, Adam Lefkoe, also with Bleacher Report as well. You're in Atlanta. Have you had the wings at Magic City?
I've had the wings at JR Crickets. I'm working my way up. I wanted to try the rest so that when I try the wings at Magic City, I'll have a bearing of what to compare to. And I will be going with my fiance. Don't know if we're going to go inside, but I think that's the only way that I'm allowed to get the wings is if she comes with. You were gone for 2 hours. Yeah, it was congested.
What a long line, hon. Wow. Popular wings there.
She's coming.
Yes, absolutely. If I gave you the Lakers or the field in the West?
I'm taking the field because I still like the Clippers. I know that, Devin Booker hit that shot, but I still think that it's going to come down to, can Anthony Davis drop 40 every game against the Clippers? And for me, I look at Paul and Kawhi, and Beverly is still getting back in. Lou Will, Montrezl Harrell is not there right now, and that game came down to the wire, that Clippers-Lakers first game. I think that I still have my doubts on Denver, but I do think it's interesting that they've been doing this without Jamal Murray, without Gary Harris, and now with Bol Bol and Michael Porter Jr., what could that bring? And then you look at teams like the Blazers and the Mavericks. The West to me is so deep that I agree with what you were saying earlier with the golfers. Anytime I can get the field, I'm going to take the field just based on odds.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure this out when you start to handicap this, and I don't know if Anthony Davis has as much pressure on him as he should, because this is his moment now.
He will.
And Paul George is the same thing. I'm waiting for Paul George to reappear. We know what Kawhi does in the postseason, but I'm waiting for Paul George to be great again. And Anthony Davis, you toiled in New Orleans. Now this is really your team. I mean, you should be the star of this team.
Me, D Wade, and Candace Parker were talking about this. And I was going, Anthony Davis is going to be the one that explodes. And both of them immediately said, we haven't seen it yet. And until you're there, we don't know how it's going to be in a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah. And again, I like to listen to people that have been in Game 7s before. And they said, look, he's a phenomenal player and we have faith in him, but LeBron is going to need him to be that guy. Because when LeBron has played the 20 playoff games and he's worn down a little bit, it's even going to be more on Anthony Davis. But I agree with you. I think Paul George is the guy that everyone's forgetting. When he signed with the Clippers, that's when everybody said they're a title contender. And we're going to need those big shots. But yeah, that Devin Booker shot was incredible. I'm still leaning Clippers. I just am at the depth of the amount of guys that they can throw at LeBron and tire him out.
Before I let you go, let me get your opinion on this. This is Allen Iverson on Complex talking about the greatest of all time.
I'm not going to fight it. You know what I mean? Like, much as I love Michael Jordan, Like, dog, man, LeBron James is the one, dog. He the one, man. The one.
How much does him saying dog like that at the end give more validity to that argument?
Yeah.
Like he says it in a way in which you're like, I mean, that has to be the truth. He said it like we need to finally come out and admit it. Like there's been this conspiracy of holding it down. I think it's interesting because I always love to make the argument that Allen Iverson was the pound for pound GOAT because it's always nice to weigh our greatest players of all time. I've also been the guy that said Kareem. I've also been the guy that said, if we were playing against aliens, I'm putting Shaq out there first. But I think also coming off of The Last Dance and coming off of 6 MVPs or 6 finals MVPs and what he did, I'm still going Jordan. But again, that's the thing. Forget the media votes. Let's get next year, 75th year of the NBA. Let's get those 75 guys to vote. It's an odd number. We're going to come up with a winner. I think that should settle it. And then we'll do it again in 25 years for the 100th.
I think players are afraid to still say anything negative about Jordan. Even guys who, you not on the floor with him, not involved with him, there's a fear factor with that.
That's why I thought when LeBron did his video after his last finals win, where he said, that's when I became the greatest of all time. For LeBron to say that, I thought was very interesting. But yeah, when you watch Jordan, and I just heard talking about the kill list, or Jordan's over there at his Hall of Fame speech, bringing up the dude that beat him out for because everybody wants to hang out with Jordan. And so they're afraid if they ever say anything, they're not going to get invited to the cigar lounge or his incredible golf course in Florida. Because while we all want to compete with the greatest and say we're better than them, we also want their respect. And I think we know that Jordan will hold a grudge and nobody wants to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, because if you're critical of LeBron, which so many people in the media are, LeBron is like, maybe he's taking names, but it's not like there's repercussions. Mike, it feels like there's repercussions and that he'll track you down and he'll remind you. I sat at a table at the Jim Valvano golf tournament years ago. Lou Holtz, Digger Phelps, Quinn Buckner, Jordan, Barkley, and myself.
Oh.
And Jordan did not let up on Barkley because Charles had a couple of shots at Mike, and it was just like friendly fire. And Jordan turned in a second and started peppering Barkley and reduced him to a puddle. It was amazing to see, and there was silence after he was done. Like there was smoke that was coming out, and then people were like,
that's the thing. It's like that weird, after silence where nobody wants to get in there. I got to have dinner with Barkley the other night, and it's amazing because the stories are incredible. 2, it's annoying because everyone in the world, it's like masks be darned. I'm coming over to get Barkley. But I really hope and think that relationship will get solved. I asked Charles, I said, look, how annoying was it for you to go on every radio station and to be asked, why isn't this working out? Like you're the only one involved in this not working out. And I feel like as they get older, it's the greatest relationship in sports that doesn't exist right now. When they went on the Oprah show together, that's one of my favorite clips on YouTube. I implore people to go check it out. But I feel like there's a lot of love there. There's just also a lot of stubbornness. But Michael needs someone like Charles in his life that will always be honest. And Charles is the perfect companion for someone like Michael who can actually take that. And I really hope it gets fixed.
Well, Michael can't take it, but he can give it. And that's part of the problem is Charles did his job and said Michael has not done a good job as an owner, and he hasn't. And I remember when he said it on my show, and I went, Mike's not going to like that. And he said you're surrounded by yes men. Charles, what he said was real. That was true. But Michael can give you grief, but it doesn't feel like you can say anything negative about Mike.
I am optimistic cautiously when what we've seen lately with social justice, for Michael to get so involved after The Last Dance. All of us went, wow, we haven't seen this before. I mean, there was a whole chapter in The Last Dance about how he avoids that stuff. I'm curious, as he gets older, will there be even a 1% softening of how he is? And I believe in that 1% is the forgiveness of Charles Barkley. That's what I believe, because he'll be the only one because he has Michael's respect.
Great to talk to you, Lefkoe. I'm glad you're doing well
Always a pleasure.
with the NBA on TNT Tuesdays. Thanks for joining us.
Man, Danettes, I love you guys. Dan, I love you. And to everyone out there, 6'2", 219. Happy to be here.
We're back after this in the Dan Patrick Show.